I remain short on Bitcoin, I remain locally bearish on Bitcoin, and of course I remain looking for lower prices to come. In this video, I'll be lining you up with some next best short trade opportunities and the lower targets that I am looking for. So I really feel that you're going to learn a lot from this video. I'm going to be going over some CCV 2.0. We're going to be taking a look at the TPO. We're going to be taking a look at the order flow, all those little intricate details of trading, which give us the conviction and confidence to remain patient for our plan to play out for these lower prices. So yeah, I think you're going to absolutely enjoy, learn a lot, and yeah, get ready to crush the charts with me, because what's happening next is going to surprise everybody else minus the champs. So let's go straight into the charts. What an introduction. I love that one. So yeah, where I picked off my last video, of course, in my last video, I was also short. I was also bearish. I was also looking for lower. And we can see we have ended up dropping from 116 down to $112,000. So thus far, my bias has been pretty right. But this is not just a bias that I had from $115,000. This is the bias that I have had since the failed auction of all-time high up here at $124,000, all stemming from that failed auction of the all-time highs. A very standard short trade setup for the champs, and it was one that we were ready and waiting for, not only off of the very standard failed auction pattern, but also off of different fractals that we were running and different ideas of it is the most likely to create another new all-time high. And then with the failed auction, you get a much larger drop to the downside. And so, it's having that plan and then having the conviction to not be in several different long trades on the dip, but remain confident for a much larger dip. That's not to say there haven't been any long trade opportunities. I have taken a few, but of course, out of those that I've taken over the past few weeks, I have took a new long trade yesterday, which I can talk you through actually very briefly. But otherwise, overall, still looking for lower. And so I want to let me educate you first of all on the long trade that I actually took yesterday. Of course, this has seen a relatively large move to the upside during the day of yesterday, topping out this morning before another move to the downside. But just to show you, there are opportunities. But on these opportunities, because listen carefully here, the overall bias is for lower prices. Again, these are an overall bias for lower prices, the continuation of the Bitcoin crash, which is going to give me a much larger long trade opportunity for then a new all-time high. I still do expect new all-time highs, but I have to remain with that conviction that we will get a bit lower first before the bigger rise in price. So that's important. But even with the conviction and bias that I have of lower prices, I'm still not shying away from, good long trade setups from a day trader's perspective when given. And yesterday was a wonderful example that I want to talk you through here very quickly. And that was just real simply what we had yesterday was a standard. So for everybody that knows the lovely CCV setup and, as the 80% rule, well, we went one step further. From that 80% rule, right, we called it, the CCV. And what we've got now is the CCV 2.0. All right, the standard 80% rule is known by everyone. It's become way too popular. So we basically done a strategy which was counter trading the standard 80% rule. And yesterday we had this wonderful example. Most people, right, they see the daily open outside of the value area. They see the acceptance above the previous day value area low. And what they're doing, they're targeting that previous day value area high. We knew not to do that. And what we're actually looking for, well, it lined up with a few different reasons. The CCV 2.0, which is a complete fake out of the CCV setup. And on top of that, we actually had the front run. You can see here, we had a front run of the daily. So there was a lot of reasons of why we could be expecting another new low to come. First of all, the front run. Second of all, the CCV 2.0. And the way that this played out yesterday, I'll just show you here very quickly because it was, pretty perfect. So here you can see the acceptance. If we just load up what it was looking like, you can see the acceptance above $113,717, which was yesterday's previous day value area low. Here you can see the clear acceptance with closed session Q, R, S, and almost C above the level. But you clearly get two session closes above the previous day value low. A lot of people at this point are going to be like, oh, we got the 80% rule set up. Let's take the long trades. No. CCV 2.0, everybody. On top of the CCV 2.0, what did we have? We had that ever so slight, by a few dollars there, front run of the daily. So we had another reason of why we can be I still like the idea of another low on Bitcoin as it front run the daily, right? So even at this point, I'm still remaining patient for the CCV 2.0. And on top of that, well, the front run of the daily, I still think Bitcoin will make another new low here, as very unlikely we leave that with a front run. So that daily was coming in $112,502. If we just add on $112,502, this is what it looked like yesterday. So this daily was not here. This is a new daily. And so you can just see yesterday how we really simply formed a swing failure pattern of the daily low, swing failure pattern of the daily low there. It was the order flow. You had trapped shorts into the low of the wick. So let me load up this template here so you can just see that very quickly. We had the swing failure pattern. You can see open interest increases, negative delta, point of control of the candle in the wick. It just lined up with a, pretty perfect order flow viewpoint, but also then the CCV 2.0 long trades, and of course the fake out of the low of the day on top of that, hitting the level that was front run of the daily there. So, this is what we mean, or what I mean by when I say, I am bearish, I am looking for lower prices, but when I'm given a real clear, locally high quality trade setup in terms of a long, I will still take it. And again, from there, we rose the whole day yesterday. So after the activation of the swing failure pattern there, you can see we got the rise during the day. That is our daily close here. And then our daily opened again, and you can see that the actual higher the move made around 1 a.m., 2 a.m. UK time. So we got clear continuations through the day and then topping out in the night before coming down again. This is the importance of locking in a take profit 1, even a take profit 2 during this rise, because the overall bias is lower. But again, even with an overall bias of lower, we're still interested in those, quicker, that we can call them, long trades on the way down. So yeah, one question that I had asked yesterday, and this is what I want to emphasize before I move on to what we're looking at next, and that is, when I'm coming in here and making the video today, I'm very openly and transparently saying, I am, locally bearish, even medium-term time frame bearish. I'm happily in a lot of short trades. The interest that I have in longs, again, I had an interest in a long yesterday. I am open to taking longs, but definitely I'm looking for lower prices. But I just want you to truly understand that that doesn't equate to, okay, I'm going to take a short trade now. Okay, that's not what I try and do with these videos. I'm openly and transparently telling you I am looking for lower. My predictions are lower prices will come, but that definitely doesn't mean that you should open a short trade right now. So this was stemming off of a question that I had. Bitcoin still going lower, still in your short trades. One thing that I just want to emphasize really importantly is that the short trade that I have is literally from the all-time high, around $124,000. So of course, in terms of opportunity and the risk that comes from this, is there's a lot more opportunity and potential rewards when you're shorting up at $124,000 than when you're trying to short here at $113,000. Of course, you are too late. And this is not to say, well, there's nothing to do now, but it is, hopefully you can understand that if you understand the theories that we're teaching, even if you had missed my video on the day, failed auction of all-time high, like I was saying, it is a standard short trade. You start to understand the fractals. It all comes together. That if you do listen and learn from what I teach, you do not need me to even tell you now is the short trade. You already know. You would have already known that is the short trade or failed auction of all-time high. Of course, when I can come in here and I confirm to the group, failed auction of all-time high, nice continuation, we're getting the perfect you're going to probably have a bit more confidence. But overall, you can still have done all of this without me. But what I do not want people doing is now seeing I'm making videos, again, I made the video on the day of taking the short trade, and here we are, coming on 2 weeks later. I'm not telling you to short now, even though I'm expecting lower. That does not mean short now. And it's just very important. I need to emphasize that. Of course, short trade is currently from the all-time highs. We're getting funding paid every 8 hours. So the funding rate is still paying shorts. And this is something that I think a lot of people overlook in trading. But this funding rate really adds up, really, especially when you're trading big position sizes. Right? You literally can be making thousands of dollars a day, even if the market goes full on sideways for the next 2 weeks. Let's just say in a hypothetical world, we just go full on sideways for 2 weeks. Well, that's another 2 weeks of every 8 hours being paid funding. Okay, this is how it works on generally on your crypto exchanges, right? For example, Bybit every 8 hours is Okay, the funding rate changes, it fluctuates, but right now shorts are getting paid and longs have to pay to maintain their position. So the longs are paying the shorts. So if you are in a short like me from all-time high, every 8 hours we're getting paid, the shorts are getting paid, and the longs, people that are opening longs on the way down, people that are opening longs or staying in longs from the past few weeks. Again, I have no long trades open from this section of the chart. Why? Well, because the funding rate would be eating you up right now. It would be eating you up. And it doesn't make sense to hold on to a long trade where you are paying to maintain that position open. So again, I emphasize, if we go sideways for 2 weeks, those longs every day are losing money off of funding. The shorts over that same period are gaining money. We're getting paid. There is a lot of advantages that people don't really think about when it comes to the funding rate. And I am always so keen to just hold on to shorts. Shorts pretty much the majority of the time are getting paid. Some people really quite, oh, Daniel, why are you always looking to short Bitcoin? Well, first of all, because Bitcoin is one of the biggest swing assets in the world. You regularly get these very large moves to the downside. Of course, when I zoom out and I look at this on the weekly chart, of course, Bitcoin over time goes up, and that's why you can have long-term investments. But from a trader's perspective, Bitcoin is literally one of the biggest swing assets in the world. It regularly, even during the uptrend, gets 10, 20, 30, 40% drops to the downside. So you cannot just, well, I wouldn't anyway, just be a long-term investor and miss out on these several opportunities of big moves to the downside. And so, I'm paying attention to the overall higher term time frame trend. I have a strategy. Again, even for me, this failed auction was a crash likely to happen, but it's still another buy the dip opportunity. It's just I'm very good at understanding, why would I want to buy $124,000 when I can wait for the crash, buy the bigger dip, and then trade it up again, right? That's just what we got to do as traders, and that's what I'm pretty good at recognizing when to buy, when not to buy, right? When to short, when not to short. During this section of the uptrend, I was saying I have no interest in shorts, right? Come back to my videos from around the 5th to the 10th. I was regularly saying every day, no short trades, looking for higher, remaining bullish, no short trades, no short trades. And the first time my tune changed was on the failed auction. That's where you saw the first time in over a week where I went from bullish, looking for higher, to target being hit, taking a short trade, and now looking for lower, right? It is trading the charts, and I digress there. So we'll move on then to what we're looking at next. Two things before that I want to do, and that is just a reminder that we do have weekly altcoin streams. Severin is absolutely crushing them right now. So if you do want to get in on altcoins, of course, here on YouTube, we're not so often talking about alts, but we are on the Discord. And if you want, literally every week talking about altcoins, altcoin streams, altcoins galore, then we do have dedicated altcoin streams. Literally, we have dedicated altcoin streams, so there is lots of different altcoins covered and lots of different, of course, lovely trades to be had there. And the next thing I wanted to do is I have forgotten my last video, so here we are. We're going to go into this video and we're going to give away $1,000. So I'm going to pick 2 winners here, and we're going to give away $1,000 in total. So $500 each. Reminder, if you haven't entered the giveaway, it's very easy. You can come over to the Discord, free to enter the Discord, free to enter the giveaway, or you can do the email instructions down below. And we are picking now 2 winners from this giveaway. We've still got money left to give. So let's go into this. I have just downloaded the latest user ID list from this morning. We are going to pick these winners. So 2 winners, $500 each. Let's go. This is what we're doing now in each and every video, giving away $1,000 in each one. So, no risk, nothing bad here. What I'm going to do is, of course, there is one requirement, that is you need to have traded more than $1. So if you enter the competition and you have traded 0, you're not eligible. This guy, though, is eligible. You've just won $500. Congratulations. User ID 31 * ending in 645. We will reach out to you. You've just won $500. Let's pick another winner. Spin the wheel. The next winner is, this is the whole list. We got a lot of people to win from here. Next winner is this guy. Let's just make sure you are eligible. Unfortunately, you're not. So if you had traded $1, you would have just won $500. Unfortunately, you entered the competition, but you did not trade the $1 requirement. Thus, you are not eligible. We're going to give your $500 away to somebody else. Let's see the next winner. That next winner is this user ID. Are you eligible? Please say yes. Yes, you are eligible. You've traded more than $1. You have just won $500. That is another $1,000 given away. We will contact you and yeah. Congratulations to those winners. This is a giveaway where people actually receive their money. So, yeah, it's a nice giveaway, right? And with that said, let's move on to actually what we're looking at next then on Bitcoin. I hope that you've enjoyed the start of this video, the real explanations, what we're looking at, and some game theory behind the trades, because it's all, you know, it's all well and good talking about what we're going to talk about now, what we're looking at next, but the game theory of how to manage those open trades is also important, which is overlooked a lot of the time. So, yeah, with that said, let's give an analysis then. So a few things that I look for here. The first thing is going to be what are the divergences doing? Well, you can actually see when we come on to the chart. So we can see here, we actually were yesterday, we had the long trade again. I still have this long open, by the way, but I'm not expecting it to run for the hills. But from this long trade yesterday, we formed the retest during the day. So we had the long from the swing failure pattern onto the daily, CCV 2.0, trap shorts into the low open interest, just a very classic long trade. From there, we got a mini rise. We got the essentially the back test, right? So the retest. On that retest, look at this, bullish divergences. So you had a very nice intraday retest for the higher low with bullish divergences forming. That's lovely. It shows us we're looking for continuation during the day. Well, we clearly got continuation during the day and till the next day. And this morning is where we topped out right on that weekly VWAP to the absolute dollar. So, you know, when we talk about precision during this trend, just like look at this, the VWAP there, the weekly VWAP, just so strong. And I mean, to the dollar rejection. But yesterday we had those bullish divergences. Well, what do you see today? Well, if you look carefully and closely, you see bearish divergences. So now we start to see the move to the downside with, look at this, open interest increases with longs opening. You know, here we just saw 10 million longs open. Here we saw 5. Here we saw another 7 million longs. Here we saw another 4 million longs. So, you know, we do have bearish divergences with open interest increases, you know, clearly new longs opening here. You know, it really does lead us to believe that lower prices can come locally here. It's not really ideal what you'd want to be seeing if you are a big bull. So I just think there's a lot of reasons to believe that lower prices will be coming next. You know, there's just a very high probability of that. So yeah, I wanted to show you that in the order flow in terms of the divergences that we got going on here. And in terms of like, you know, when we class strong levels, do we have any strong levels down below us? The daily we had yesterday, 112,502, is tapped and deleted. The new daily that formed off the back of that, 112,800, it's a very low confluence level. It's not something I would be very interested in, to be honest with you. I know I'm not interested in the long here. So for me, that really just leaves me to remain a little bit more patient for the bigger range, right? And we can be looking down to the lows there on the 2nd of August, the second to the 3rd of August, officially the 3rd of August. And it's just the next lows that I'm interested in. So that's towards 111,800. And, you know, for me, it's always a reactionary based trade. So we either get, much like at the highs, much like at this high, when this was our old range high, we were looking at one of two things on this. We either would have done the breakout, backtest, continuation, which of course is a much more bullish scenario, or what happened, breakout, loss of the level, and then it's just a hard, cold, confirmed failed auction, right? So, but we would have been aware of a scenario of this breaking out, holding as support and continuation. But when you get the loss of the level, that is just a hard, cold confirmation failed auction. You know, you got to be taking your short trades at that point. But why that's important is it links down to what we're going to be looking down for next, right? Do we get well, again, there's two potential range lows, in my opinion. From the 3rd of August low, of course, down to the lows back there on the 10th of July. But we'll either get one of two things, right? We'll either see this come down and hit into the support and reclaim, and then we can look for the much bigger reversal, essentially another failed auction of the low. Or alternatively, we will lose the level, backtest and get continuation. That is the exact opposite of a failed auction, and in this case it would be much more bearish for lower prices. I do not think as prices coming down here to a very crucial support, we want to be getting super bearish, right? Again, the time for shorts is not here. The time for shorts was last week at the all-time highs, right? I just want to emphasize that. we are coming down to big support levels. This is a time to be focused on the longs, right? To look for those long opportunities. I would say this, I would be cautious. I'm not just going to be, longing, hope for the best. No, hope is not going to help you in this market. You got to wait for the hard cold technical data, right? That's what's going to help you, not any wishes. But this is where I would be leaning towards. Another low to come, reactionary based trade. If we get the reaction, another type of failed auction, well, amazing. That can be the spring needed for a larger move to the upside, right? If you look at reaccumulation ranges, when you look at these reaccumulation ranges, you'd like to see the spring of the lows, right? You don't really want to see a higher low hold. And so that really leads me, even if we're looking at a distribution range with an upfresh after distribution, well, ultimately, this is still going to be a long opportunity down at the lows here, even if we are looking at a bigger distribution range. I have a very, very big focus from 110 down to $108,000. For me, this is like a very big key support level. I'm not going to be turning bearish down here. Don't necessarily flip bullish, but I will be only looking for longs down there. And so I want to move on to a scenario of what if. Again, I always like to do this myself when I'm trading. My scenario, preferred scenario, my predictions, my bias is all at lower. I'm really focused on lower. But I, as a professional trader, always have to have this what if scenario. And the what if scenario is this. What if price pumps from here? What if that happens? Right? What if we get a bit of a short squeeze and we do end up getting a large rise in price? Okay, well, in that what if scenario, I am still going to be at that point looking to short the rally, because I believe even if we get a rally here, it is going to be leading into a short opportunity. Okay, nice big short opportunity. And the context is key here. If we come down first and form a failed auction and rally, that's not as nice context for a short. But if we hold the higher low and we get a large rally here, I have a lot of interest in taking that short. And that comes down from my conviction and a plan. My plan is for lower, and I have high conviction in that based off of the technicals, based off of no signs of strength, right? We're just seeing continued weakness. Of course, and the order flow, everything for me is pointing for lower. But I also have to understand, what if I'm wrong? Or what if the market changes? What can be bearish today? Even later today, tomorrow, the market can flip. Okay, it takes a bit of time, but it starts to flip, right? Those bearish signs, maybe the order flow starts to change. Maybe we do start to see signs of strength. We need to be aware that that can happen in the market. And that's why it's important to be able to update your bias, like remove that ego, really humble yourself to the market. If I do see the strength, I'm able to say, hey, I was wrong on this. Again, wrong is like a way of viewing things, because my short again was from the all-time high. So am I wrong if we get a rally from here? I guess in a way, yes. I wouldn't lose any money off of this being wrong, but I would have not seen the low come first, which was my preferred scenario. But what if I'm wrong and we do rally from here? Well, then I'm going to look to short the rally. I have a very high confidence to short the rally that we will be getting, or like if we get this rally, rather than looking to, get super excited and super bullish. I will be following my plan until invalidated. Until invalidated, I would still look at this rally as a short the opportunity. This is going to be a very nice opportunity if given. It doesn't look likely, but if I'm wrong, and if it comes, well, I will be looking to short a nice big rally here on Bitcoin. I have a lot of confidence in that. So yeah, that's really like my game plan. That's my thoughts. That's my process. Some of the reasons behind this. Of course, I only have, 20 minutes on these videos, not an hour like I do every day. What I'm saying is we're time limited, but I have shared a lot here of why I'm looking for low and why I have that confidence. And before I end, I wanted to end with something, a little bit different, but something that's close to my heart. And I hope that you enjoy. And it's actually talking you through this tweet. And so I'm going to try and start to do this, maybe talking about not in every video, but in some of my videos, talking a little bit about life, my views, and I hope to do this in also a way to help you. This is just trying to give you some of my life experience as a guy that's had the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows. I have a lot of crazy things, crazy stories, and I do think that it also, my real life scenarios can help you. Truly, I do believe that. So I want to read this out to you and expand upon it, because again, I want to help. So Markets rise and fall just like storms in life, right? We get we get the big storms, we get to raise the sunshine, right? But just like the markets, we have ups and downs. And the difference is where you anchor yourself. Okay, so in trading, we have to anchor ourselves on our trading plans. So just like today, I have my trading plan, I have my conviction, I have my, my bias for lower prices. Okay, so I'm anchoring myself in trading to my plan. I say then here in life, of course, I'm not trying to force things on people, but just to open your mind. For me, coming as a person that used to be an atheist, and I see how my life was, had lots of more ups and downs. And I'm not to say my life is perfect now. No, far from. I've still got a lot to improve. I still got a lot to do. I can see like the peace that I have in a lot of things is greater since I became a Christian. So I say like this, in trading, you must anchor yourself to your plan. And in life, it's a really good idea to anchor yourself to that faith, anchor yourself to, that belief in God. And so I say this, without a strong anchor, you do not trade with conviction, right? So if you do not have that anchor of your trading plan, what are you going to do? If price rises tomorrow and you're expecting lower, you are going to probably be feeling FOMO. You're going to be feeling regret of not longing the lows. You're going to be feeling anxious of, oh my God, what if this continues to pump without me? Should I be longing? Should I be? You have no idea what to do, right? You're going to be lost. You're going to be scared, actually. You're going to be emotional. You're just going to be filled with regret, worry, FOMO. And that is the master disaster for getting wrecked. Revenge trading, you're going to lose a lot. You are going to lose a lot. And it's because you didn't anchor yourself to your trading plan. And I link this to life. Okay. So just as with trading, you have to anchor yourself to trade with conviction or for your plan. And in life, if you want to have, again, I opened this as a guy that came as an atheist, but I really, really reach out to you and say, like, through this, I have the biggest peace in my life through having like a connection with God, having, able to enter prayer, to hand over my problems to God and just say, Jesus, like, help me here, help me. And having that like connection, it's like having that father above that can help you with everything. And this isn't to say you become a Christian and you have everything answered, everything's good. No, right? Everybody is going to have hard times. And I really mean this, is through those hard times that form you as a character. No one wants to have the easy life. If I could go back and start from my beginning, would I want to start as a parent, being born into a rich family, never having a hard day, so to speak? I'm sure they still do, or I could start off how I started off, not in full-on poverty, but because I compare this to people I know that have been born in again, this is generally speaking third world countries, but I have strong connections. I do a lot of charitable work in third world countries. I've seen firsthand how people are living in cardboard boxes. So thankfully I was not born into that. That's a very, very hard start, but still possible to get out of it, right? But I was born into a lower class family, and I'm in a way very happy of that, because I wasn't born with a silver platter, right? I had to work hard. I had to really make something of myself, and it really helped form me as a person. But even today, now having all the money that one could ever need, I still have to humble myself. I still have to I compare my life to a few years ago, and if you were in the chart champions following along 2020, 2021, you saw how off the rails I got. I did not have a God. I did not have an anchor in my personal life. I was out partying. I thought I was this cool guy. Look at all my money. Like, look at all the girls that I'm getting. It was a sad way of living when I look back on it, right? It did not offer me any real happiness, right? In the moment, yeah, you get temporary happiness, right? You can go out. It's not long true happiness. I really mean that now. I have a wife, children. My life is just way more grounded. And anyway, I just wanted to end with that little bit of a mention of this, that if you live life connected to God, you are going to be living with more peace. You simply, I just feel that even I want to say something here that's really personal. I want to share this with you. And maybe we've only got one person left in the video, but that's all I want to connect with here. I just want to connect with the people that are really interested. I know the majority have clicked off, but I want to share this with you because it's personal. That although I am like on my route of being a Christian. I'm so eager. I'm every day reading the Bible. I want to draw closer to God. But there are times where I will question my faith. I will question things that happen. I say, how is this happening, Lord? Like, if you are here and you are, how are these really bad things when you look at the world happening? And then I educate, I learn, I realize that every man has free will. And this is why it's so important that even with bad things happening, we ourselves, God looks at our heart. He's not looking at our actions. He's not looking at me and, giving, let's say today I gave away $1,000. This is irrelevant. This is not important. It's not about the giving. If the heart, you're giving it for the wrong reasons, right? I have charitable events. We're actually something really interesting. We're in the process of building a church. Like, we're doing some really cool things. But if this was for the ego, if this was to do it for the wrong reasons, then it's not impressive to God, the one that matters. So what I mean by this is you want to make sure your heart is in the right place. And whether I always will think this, like, if you are a Christian or not, like, you cannot deny that the values that the Bible teaches, I really feel, are good. So even if you are not a Christian, you have no interest in this, like, I do not think it's a bad idea to read the Bible and just read the core values, because the values are very, very, very good. And I forgot where I was even going with this story, actually. Oh no, that was it. I sometimes have hard times, and I question my faith, and I really noticed this actually over, probably over the past few weeks. I was starting to become a little bit, I was being super, super busy, and I've not had time to do daily prayer. And I started to notice, like, I'm missing this sense of peace. I'm missing this sense of, like, purpose and happiness, and I just become so busy with all these different things. It's just I've found it so important to ground yourself, and even in a busy life, and I'm very busy, you got to find and dedicate your time. Just as like in trading, right? You can let your day job get in the way, you can let your family get in the way, but if you want to actually make it in trading, what do you need to do? You need to dedicate, you need to find the time of 30 minutes a day, dedicate it to learning to trade. And so for me, I say the same. Like, of course, I need to keep up with my trading and dedicate time to trading, but I also need to dedicate time to prayer and the Lord. And I started doing this again, and I've noticed, just like, well, like I see today, like, I hope I'm genuinely very happy and very at peace, and feel like my life is being led by the one above. And I don't know, that just makes me very happy. And so I know that not many people are enjoying the last bit, but for me, I find it, I just wanted to share. And if you are the one listening here, I truly bless you today. I will pray. I have been adding into my prayers the Chart Champions community. I just hope that through my voice, the Lord can speak through me and really inspire you maybe to find God. That would be amazing. And on top of this, right, if you can also, like, just take inspiration, take the learning, take the education, and implement this into your trading, I pray that you can just really find happiness in these charts, because it's when you truly enjoy and you're finding the happiness, it's when you trade your best. When you're in the zone and you're truly you're just having a good time on the charts, that's when the profits come. If you're overthinking, over analyzing, what's the word? Forgot the word, but when you just got so many different things on the chart, you can't even think what's going on. Analysis paralysis. Yeah. Again, it takes time and experience, but through that educational journey, you will just have the best time at these charts. And that's what I'm having right now. I'm not overthinking it. I'm prepared to be wrong. I'm humble enough to even say, oh, I was wrong on that. Let's move on. There's another trade to be had. But at the same point, I'm humble enough to admit when I'm wrong, but I'm also have enough conviction to know when I'm very likely to be right. And thus far, I have been very likely. Well, I have been very right. And, that comes down to my conviction through my trading plans. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here. I hope you've enjoyed. I thank you all truly ever so much. And if you want to see more from me, the rest of the team, for the altcoins, we do futures trading, of course, crypto, you can join us over at Chart Champions. Thank you ever so much. Hope you've enjoyed. And that is me signing out. Maybe I'll see you at our next in-person event, which is happening very soon as well. So cheers, everybody. Thank you ever so much. That's me signing out. Goodbye.